Good evening, everybody. Matt Troyce here with my co-host here, Rorito.
Hi, everybody.
What's going on? We are live for episode 1 of Against the Grain, the Montreal Screwjob.
This is an incredible start of a new era with a podcast with Matt Troyce.
Oh, absolutely. We got Rorito in the house, yeah, and the co-host tonight. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna deep dive into the Montreal Screwjob. You
Let's
ready,
see,
Rorito?
let's see what happens with the Montreal Screwjob relived again.
That's right. That's right. We got everyone in the house. All right. Great to see everybody. Hello. Hello. All right. So yeah, I mean Montreal Screwjob. I mean it's happened like over a quarter of a century ago, right? And or just about a quarter of a century ago, and it's still talked about today as it was back then. I mean, because there's just so much controversy and. So, Rorita, what can you shine any light on this? Like, what do you think about the Montreal screw job?
I obviously think it was Brett's fault. Oh, Brett's fault.
Oh, so Brett screwed Brett.
No, I think Brett definitely screwed himself and the company. He just was an egotistical jerk about it. How do
Really?
you feel about that?
Well, I got to be honest. I feel like Brett he deserved better, and I really don't think that Brett screwed Brett. I think that Brett deserved to leave on top, leave the way a champion should have left, and I really feel like they should have did better by Brett. So I don't think Sean should have played in this scheme to screw Brett. I think he should have remembered he was one of the boys at one time and looked out for each other. But I guess he looked out for number one, and he
Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Sean knew Brett's time was up in the company. Brett outshined him the whole entire time while he was in WWF at the time. But come on, Matt, think about this. How can you be siding with a guy like the excellence of execution when Shawn Michaels had actually lost to Brett in a WWF first ladder match in Wrestling Challenge taping in July 21st of 1992. Then he also lost to Brett in 1992 in the Survivor Series main event. Then lost the steel cage match in December of 1993. Come on, nothing's forever, man. Heroes are meant to be the good guys, and also they're supposed to be passing the torch when they need to. And I think that's what they needed to do. And that's why Vince needed to let him go.
well, I agree with Ucios here. He said Vince screwed Brett, and rightfully so. And I honestly think that yes, I will say Brett. He was paid very handsomely, and he had a stellar contract. And I know Vince wanted out of the contract. He couldn't honor the 20-year deal that he originally offered Brett, and it's just a shame that they ended up ending on these terms at that time. But if any in any case, I think Bret Hart he was in the right. He didn't want to lose, and his hometown of Canada in his own country is he's a Canadian hero. And
Wait, back it up a little bit, back it up. I want you to back it up a little bit. In 1996, Brett declined a 3-year, $8.4 million contract, which is equal to 2 point something million, but then wants to sign with WWE for 20 years, 1 million per year. You realize how much financial loss WWE, WWF was going to take, even though he was the big merchandise seller back in that era. They couldn't pay that to many people. What's wrong with that, man? Come on, 20-year deal? You don't even see that in sports here nowadays. You see 10, 11, and then they say after 7 years, you're washed up, you're gone. Be
But
realistic. Come on, Matt.
why would Vince offer Brett the deal if he couldn't honor it? Like, why would he offer it to him? I mean, it just was really mind-boggling
I'll
to
think like
offer.
Brett, like Vince, to blow smoke up his ass. That's why.
So he was
That's how Vince
screwing
is.
he was screwing Brett from a lot longer before the Montreal Screwjob. Then I mean,
Come on,
if
he looked at him as a father. And do
yeah,
you think he was like a father figure to him, honestly? Maybe, maybe not. But everybody always says that about Vince. They see them as a father figure. But
yes.
really? You really think that? Or is it because they're just saying that because they want to get his money?
Well, honestly, I feel like they maybe felt like Vince is a father figure. I mean, Brett definitely respected Vince before the Montreal Screwjob. I'm sure he definitely respected him, and he gave him a shot to be the top performer in his company. I mean, let's just be honest here. I mean, it was a Bret Hart was he was the champion for quite a few years. I mean, he was the top dog. Yeah, I mean, he was a
Absolutely.
top dog.
I absolutely agree with you that Brett was the top dog. But like I said, you got to find a new hero. It happened when Bruno Sammartino was there. Who was next after Bruno?
Oh, they had
Hulk Hogan.
superstar. They had superstar Billy Graham.
Then who?
Then
Buddy Rogers.
Buddy Rogers. They had who else did they have? They had the Iron Sheik.
Yep.
He
So
was
what I'm telling you is the evolution of everything. Then after all in the 80s, who did they have? Hogan. After
Hogan.
Hogan, who did they have? Honestly, Brett
Well, yeah, they had Warrior for like
for
six
a little
months.
bit. Savage,
Yeah,
Savage.
Savage. Yeah, Savage.
How long did Brett last? 5, 6 years?
Yeah, he lasted quite a few years, I'd
Just
say. I
like
mean,
Hogan. Just like Hogan. They didn't want it to be a flavor of the week type deal. That's how
yeah,
I look at it.
yeah, I could see that. I mean, but Brett, he worked. I know he worked so hard for Vince and the company, and for them to just turn around and literally screw him like that. I mean, how do they treat somebody like that after all those years of all the dedication
Their
and
loyalty.
yeah, how? I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
I think he definitely used them. Honestly, Vince used them because you could see, obviously, United States is a big company, but also you not a big company, a big country, but you see that Canada was a big merchandise seller for WWE when they would go out there. When they would go to Europe, you saw when he faced Bulldog in England for that match when they had it in Wembley Stadium. They were packed there because of Davy Boy. But if it wasn't for Brett, that match wouldn't have been nothing. Do you agree with me?
No, I agree. Absolutely. It was but then again, Bret Hart, you know, he was the top dog. I mean, I'm pretty sure he drew money. I mean, he was a top draw at certain points, at certain points in time.
How
I
about
mean,
that top dog that you're talking about right now? Tell me right now. straight up. When the screw job happened, how old was Brett compared to Shawn Michaels? If
Well, he
you
was
remember.
old. Yeah, he was older.
Exactly. So do you
Yeah.
think that all these people want to actually pay for merchandise sales for an older guy when you could get a big new dog who's going to bring you more money, more sex appeal, and everything like that? That's not, Brett wasn't going to bring you that. Shawn Michaels was going to do that for you.
But Shawn, yeah, but Shawn, Vince had such a hard on for Shawn Michaels. I mean, I don't get it, like why he was so like he wanted Shawn Michaels to be like the top dog, and it really didn't work like in '95. That
Austin Theory. Sorry, I mean, I said Austin Theory.
was the theory, right? But Shawn, he was the top dog in like '95, and apparently that was one of some of the worst times in WWF, right?
That's
When
when the steroid trial came, everything like that. His sunny days that he was
yeah,
talking about. Remember that?
yes, I remember that Sunny Days, and that really took it too personal, I'd say, and you know they were airing dirty laundry on the air like that. I mean, that was really.
Wait. I don't think they were. I think Sean threw it out there, and then he did it without a script, without a filter. And since it was Sean, he could get away with it. If it would have been somebody else in that era, oh, you're in big trouble. You're in hot water. If it would have been Brett, he would have been fired on the spot probably. But
Oh, forget
Sean
it.
was the
Yeah.
boy toy.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Vince, he really wanted Sean to be like the top guy, and honestly, I could see Shawn Michaels had the charisma and everything, but like I said, like in '95, when Shawn had the title after WrestleMania 12, he was the champion for quite some time, and those were some of the worst performing revenue shares during that time for WWF at that time was when Shawn was champion.
Yeah, but it absolutely, you saw when he beat him. I could start seeing what was going on, the tension between Sean and Brett way before the screw job. I don't know if you see it yourself. I saw that happening exactly when he faced Brett at WrestleMania in the Iron Man match. Look at that.
You said you
Remember,
yeah.
I'm thinking that's what started everything little by little. Look at what I'm saying to you. It's a 16-man Iron Man match.
Yeah.
And probably they just booked it probably it for it to be a 60-man Iron Man match. But then you elaborate it and then you see, oh, we're gonna extend it to sudden death. And then you see Sean win in the first minute and whatever. Do you
Right.
think that could have been happening too?
I mean, I think
That could have started everything too, even though people don't talk about that
I,
much.
I think the original plan was just Shawn to beat Brett at WrestleMania, though.
Yeah, exactly. But probably
Yeah.
Brett was going to be like, I want it to be in regular time. I don't want it to be nothing like that. But what I'm saying to you is the shadiness that happened, that they did it like in overtime, that
Yeah.
was great that it went to overtime. But then I would have left the title as is, but not do an overtime deal. We
Oh,
enjoyed the 60 minutes straight, 60 minutes by itself.
yeah. Yeah. That would have been good, but I'm not sure why they decided to do the overtime, but well, whatever it was, I even knew when I was watching WrestleMania 12 when I was a kid that I knew Shawn was gonna win. Like I
Come
just
on, it was
knew
the
it.
boyhood dream type deal that they were saying that with Jose Lothario, the training and everything like that.
Yeah,
That's how I looked at it. I'm like,
yeah,
he can't lose. He can't
yeah,
lose with that type of gimmick that they have for him and whatever they're doing in the vignettes.
yeah. I knew he was gonna win, but the thing is that I guess they thought Shawn was gonna really be able to carry the company and really reach high numbers, of high revenue. But unfortunately, it didn't work out like that, right? So I think that they were planning on having Brett versus Shawn again at the following WrestleMania, but then Shawn didn't want to do the favors for Brett.
But then you saw also that Sean was involved in so many troubles, everything with the drugs, everything when it happened that they went to Syracuse and stuff like that when he fought with that Marine. Remember that deal? That they
Yeah,
said he got beat up? Come on.
yeah,
I, I'm a I'm a Shawn Michaels guy. But come on. He was a little twerp or a bitch back then, which he would try and fight anybody and get away with anything and everything he could.
yeah, yeah. But the thing is that and also Shawn lost his smile, so he relinquished the title, and Brett he never got his rematch at WrestleMania
He lost his
13.
wait. He lost his mouth. Are you sure about that? Or is he like, oh, I don't want to lose to Brett. That's why.
That's yeah, exactly. Him losing his smile, he was avoiding Bret Hart. He didn't want to do the favors for Bret.
The passion was not there. When he faced other people, he showed the showstopper that he was, but he didn't want to show it with Brett because he knew Brett would outshine him because obviously Brett is a technician and he would do anything to make that match be great. But you see Sean do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then
Yeah.
everybody's like, that's not good enough. Brett can beat you anyhow. That's how I look at it.
Oh
Even
yeah.
though, like I said, I'm a Sean guy, but obviously Brett can beat you anywhere. And obviously that's why he was the excellence of the execution.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it wasn't just a gimmick. He really was.
Well, think about this. I remember meeting in St. Louis Bret Hart, and Bret Hart was a real nice guy, but obviously he probably didn't know about it. And people are saying, "Oh, Bret Hart knew about it. Bret Hart knew about it." When I met the Bret, he was still bitter about it. I remember Bret putting in DVDs, devil ears, eyes, everything in the DVDs of anything that had to deal with him and Vince. And every time he would have something to be signed or everything, and he would be like, "That's the devil." And so I'm like, wow. And when people would ask him about Sean, what a maniac, a twerp, a little brat, stuff like that, man.
I mean, well, I guess that shows like I think the screw job was in fact a shoot. I don't think it was a work per se, but I think it was a shoot. But but the way they went about it, the whole thing, it just really, like I said, it really put a hole in Brett's heart, like the way he sacrificed to be the top guy for years for WWE, and for them to just stab him in the back like that.
Something you don't really talk about there. Something very important. You see that happens, and what happens? He leaves the company, they screw him, and then the start of the Attitude Era, the Vince McMahon character, goes into high gear. Then what happens? DX comes, Austin comes, Taker comes with a whole new persona, and
Yeah,
everything, not PG era, folks, the R era of
rated,
WWE comes about.
rated R. But I don't know if they were planning on that happening, right? Like it was they just saw so much heat with Vince, and then they just decided to capitalize on it, right? I mean,
I think so too. But the thing is, what makes me upset is he didn't want to drop the. Think about why I don't agree with Bret Hart in this. He says he didn't want to drop it in Ottawa, in Montreal, right? Which
yeah,
was November 9th, 1997. I look at it the next day. It was going to be in Ottawa, and he said he was gladly going to drop the belt to Sean in Ottawa. That's in Canada, also. Why can't you drop it in Montreal?
Well, I don't think he was gonna drop the belt to Sean in Ottawa, right? I think he was
Yeah, he
gonna
was.
just
He was.
I think he was just gonna release the title.
He
That's
was
what it
gonna
is.
drop it. He was gonna drop it, but then they were gonna also do another match. Like supposedly, if he was gonna go to WCW like a month later, but then
Yeah.
they were gonna have something in December. They were gonna main event a match with each other, and they were gonna do it also in Canada, and he would drop it there or the following day after Survivor Series.
Oh, I see.
So, but my thing is, he says he doesn't want to drop it in Canada, but then Ottawa is in Canada. Why don't you want to drop it in Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, he didn't want to drop it to Sean. That's the thing. He didn't want to drop it to Sean. Anyone else, I think he would have been fine with it, but he
Okay,
didn't
so
want
he would have dropped it to Duke the Drumster Drosy
to. Well, I don't think about.
or Brooklyn Brawler or
I
to
don't think.
Johnny Boots.
Oh, I don't know, but maybe even to Stone Cold, even though Stone Cold was rising. Uh, he wasn't quite there yet, but he was coming around. But yeah, well, you know what? Stone Cold was getting pretty hot there. I mean, it was just several months later he was main eventing WrestleMania, so he was getting pretty hot there, Stone Cold.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Who was it that Stone Cold faced at that year's WrestleMania? Wasn't it Brett?
He faced Brett, yeah, WrestleMania
And
13,
it was Ken Shamrock, the
the
referee.
referee.
That
Yeah,
was the bloodbath, right?
yes, yes, there was a lot of blood. Yeah,
So, actually, do you think Vince saw money in that big match? He could have, but he was in love with Sean.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Vince McMahon, he was really biased. He really took a liking to Sean, and to be honest, I feel like Sean got a lot more opportunities than some other deserving talent, and it's just a shame because you could even search it on YouTube where you could see that people have made videos about you know conspiracy theories about Shawn Michaels and Vince being lovers at one
Bosom
point.
buddies.
Yeah, yeah, like that's how close like they looked. I mean, if you just go back and you hear Vince's commentary when he was when a commentator, I mean, he would perk up when Shawn Michaels would be in the ring or have his matches. Like he would call his matches a little bit differently than others. I'll tell you that.
Well, all I gotta say is Sean would be Sean, and then obviously Sean got his way, and it was great for business because it gave it was you can say it was great for WWF business, not for Brett because he went on to WCW and sucked. Honestly, it
Yeah,
was great for WWF because it started the money making business that WWE is going on today. After that, how many years has it been? 25, 26. You see how big it grew after that. It
yeah,
grew more money because it wasn't generating money. That's what created the big money making. Because when we saw that, they were going to before the that screw job. I don't know how many people were in attendance. Probably most of those were in there for Brett, and
yeah,
it was 20,000 people. But you would see shows with WWF for for Raws. You would see Raws with only 4,000 people, pay-per-views with 5,000 people. You see pay-per-views after that, it was more than 20,000 people in the pay-per-views. You see Raws with 20,000 people.
Yeah.
15,000 people. You got to realize that. But you're telling me you didn't see Sean getting that hump for that. But I see it helped out the industry in WWF a lot more because they created more merchandise sales for Sean and it kept growing and growing and more revenue all over the world.
I think it was just like the controversy that really
Spark.
everyone was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it
So
was
were
the
you happy when he jumped ship or were you not happy?
with Brett. Honestly, I didn't want him to jump ship, but I understood though that he uh, he had a contract for in WCW that they were offering more money, and I know Vince couldn't honor the contract he originally had with Brett. So Brett just went, he was going to go to WCW, because he was going to make more money. But, you know, I didn't want him to leave.
How
However,
old, like I told you earlier, how old was Brett exactly when the screw job happened? If you remember,
Brett,
33, something like that.
he was older than Sean.
Yeah. So how old would you say an estimate?
An estimate, he's got to be at least, in his mid 30s or so, right?
Okay. So think about what I'm saying. 33 plus 20 years. You think you can get Brett to be the best there is wrestling 20 years? I could
Yeah,
see Shawn Michaels probably lasting, considering how crazy Shawn was. I could see Shawn lasting until he was like 43 or 44. But he
yeah.
went all out, all business.
But Sean only lasted another couple months until he got injured.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it didn't really work out in his
I
favor.
I think that was the whole karma factor, buddy.
Oh,
That's what
karma, yeah,
that's how I look at it. I was like, man, great that he did that. But then the karma factor is like it's gonna catch up to you somehow. You saw how many injuries he got back after that.
he got injured a lot after that, and
But he was putting his body on the line a lot in matches before that too. I would
yeah,
have I enjoyed the when he was with Taker in that Hell in a Cell and Bad Blood in St.
yeah,
Louis that I was there. I enjoyed that match like crazy. I wish they had more matches like that with him. But that took a lot of toll on him when he fought Stone Cold at WrestleMania. That actually, you saw when he got injured in that match. I,
yeah,
I saw like that they had a press conference during that, after that. And it's like we're talking before about WWF not having press conferences, but now
yeah,
they do press conferences. They said immediately when Shawn Michaels fought Stone Cold at WrestleMania, he didn't want to be part of the press conference because he was upset. No, that wasn't the case. Shawn was legitimately injured before the match and after the match. And it was
yeah. He
because
was,
of his overdrive.
he was legitimately injured. I mean, he needed back surgery or whatever. I mean, but you know that's and he injured his back with against Undertaker, I think at Hell in a Cell originally, right?
Yep. He got
Yeah,
injured a lot. I just gotta say, I consider Shawn, he was like a Mexican wrestler. High flyer, everything.
yeah.
They would do anything at all costs.
Hmm. It's true, but the thing is that it's interesting you say karma. Yeah, I mean he got instant karma pretty much, but the thing is that how it all went down. Like, I mean, how could, like, Bret Hart, like, how did he not know something was up when everybody was ringside for that match? I mean, all backstage personnel. There were camera people all over the place. It was just a madhouse, that match.
I don't know, man. It's just crazy that think about one thing that they only talk about they only talk about Vince asking for the bell to be rung. I
Hmm.
don't see it like that. There was another booker in the match that's really not mentioned, Gerald Briscoe.
Oh, okay,
Think
Gerald.
about that. Gerald Briscoe could have been the guy who instructed Earl Hebner, even though Vince is seen probably ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell. I look
Yeah.
at Gerald Briscoe as one guy who was very important in what he was doing. Why? Because obviously you could not probably see him on the screen, but probably he talked to Earl Hebner backstage and he made all the wheels in motion and put it into motion. And Shawn Michaels, in his autobiography, said he talked to Earl Hebner himself and didn't want anybody to know about it. Think about that.
Oh
But
yeah.
why?
Yeah.
But why do you see Earl Hebner say one thing, then you see Gerald Briscoe say another thing? Hmm.
That's a good question. But from what I remember, is that Gerald Briscoe caught Earl Hebner last minute before he left the curtain and told him right there. From what
That's
I
what he
remember.
said, supposedly. And then Sean says something else in his autobiography. It's all hearsay. Hearsay. He, she said, whatever she said, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but whatever the case, I think more than 3 or 4 people knew about it because Gerald Briscoe, like he legitimately got Sean out of the arena as soon as it happened. Like as he got out, he got Sean out from the
From the
ringside
ring.
area. Yeah, like he was sectioning off Sean, getting him out of the ring area. I mean, I think there was more than 3 or 4 people that knew about it. I'm sure Triple H knew about it. I'm I'm
Robert
sure
Roode might have known something about it, right?
I'm sure quite a few people knew about it, and maybe even China too. China, and I just feel like they had a different meeting that a lot of people didn't know about, and they said, "Okay, this is what's really going to happen." Because I know they talked about it was going to be a disqualification, this and that. They had British Bulldog and Owen Hart waiting for their cues to come out, but
Yep.
they never got the cue.
Yeah. I'm
But
going to tell you one important thing about this that we're not talking about really straight.
yeah,
You're right about what you're saying. What if Vince actually told the cameraman, I want the cameras to be exactly when this happens, when Sean gets out of the ring, he probably told them, this is what I'm going to do. But then get the loogie. If he's going to do something, or if Brett's going to try something, just try and get his reaction, then my reaction, because you saw it pan exactly to where it happened.
oh yeah, the
They
cameras
were
are all
on point, exactly.
they were all in perfect position. They're all in perfect position, and that's another thing. When the end was about to happen, all the cameramen are outside. They were clamoring around to get the best shot before it ended, and it looked like like I said, or like we both said, it looked like a lot more people knew what was going to happen than initially thought.
Many people say WWE uses cameragraphers, camera guys all the time, but I don't see it all the time happen like that. Sometimes they plant indie wrestlers or other wrestlers to actually tape, and they might have known about it ahead of time. Think about that.
Oh,
That could be something in itself that people don't really talk about. That
I
could be it.
never I never heard that theory because they were worried that Brett could have flipped out and turned on people, like really started fighting people. Perhaps they had plants waiting just in case that happened.
Well, that's how I look at it. The plants could be actually the camera guys that could have been wrestlers. Who
But
knows?
I don't recall any of those cameramen being too built. I mean, or too like they didn't look like wrestlers. They looked
What if
like
it's independent guys? That's what I'm saying to you.
indie guys.
Yeah. Remember, they use a lot of enhancement talent for stuff like that and wrestlers just to build up their characters and everything like that. I've seen
Yeah,
wrestlers being camera guys. I remember a couple weeks ago, a month ago, they had a camera guy who did something in a segment and they were talking about it.
yeah.
That the guy was a wrestler and he wasn't a camera guy. They were talking about that. It was with the Uncle Howdy segment when it started that Bray got attacked. Remember, or something like that
I think so.
in
Yeah.
SmackDown? Yeah, the guy who was the camera guy was actually a wrestler. And they told him like an hour before, hey, you're going to Raw to be a camera guy. For
Oh
what?
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing. You just never know. I mean, they could have plants in the audience. They could have plants anywhere. I mean, it's really mind-boggling to think about that. But
You
yeah,
could
I mean,
even have a plant on your stream and you don't even know about it.
right. I'm sure there's several plants. No. No.
You have it in
No.
your house, but you have several plants at your house, don't you?
I do. I do. Actually, yeah.
You could even be talking to one plant right now, but you don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. For all we know, Roy, you work for WWE. We don't know. That's how you know all this information.
I can't go into details. You just got to pay me a little bit, then I might tell you.
Oh, okay. All
Like
right.
they
Yeah.
say, money talks.
Money talks. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. But yeah, it's just amazing how for me, if it was a shoot, a legitimate shoot, I don't see how Brett didn't see the writing on the wall. You know, with everybody being ringside, with it was just so much commotion going on. I mean, he didn't realize there was something kind of weird here, like that I don't understand how he didn't see that something might be up here.
The writing was on the wall and he didn't see it, or he chose not to see it. That's how I look at it. He chose not to see it because he was blinded by the thing that he was going to WCW and then yada, yada, yada.
Oh, but here's another thing. Here's another thing that we can analyze is that when Brett was turned into the sharpshooter, did you notice that Brett he tried to get out of the sharpshooter fast, like as fast as possible.
Because he
He
realized something was going to be up, because that probably wasn't in the script. He probably, remember, he probably said, shit, they're going to try and screw me with my own move. Shit, I got to do something.
but he but no, I think he knew it was going to happen because he actually he fixed
He
his
tried to
legs.
reverse it.
Yeah, he fixed his legs for Sean when Sean was putting his finisher on. Like he knew he was going to get in that spot, but when he was in this spot, if you notice, he didn't stay in the spot long. Like he tried to get out as soon as he.
Probably that was supposed to continue the match, and then that's when Vince said, "Ring the bell." That's probably they would have continued the match with that move, but since Vince was there ringside, that's when Vince said, "We this is part of the plan." But then you're like, "Ring the bell, ring the damn bell."
Oh yeah, but if you look back at it, like Brett, he didn't stay in the move that long at all. Like for just a few seconds, and he tried to get out of it as soon as possible. Like it was like like I guess he kind of sensed something. That's how I could put it. I mean, because usually when someone gets put in a submission hold, like they stay in it for a little while, and then they try to reverse it, like, for several seconds. But he was in it for maybe 3 seconds, if that.
But
And
what, like Elvis said on the chat, he was probably going to reverse it. He was going to kick probably Sean off. Look what he said.
yeah,
He
it
was
was, yeah.
supposed, he was supposed to reverse it. So the thing is, he did that and he reverses it, and he probably was going to kick him to the turnbuckle or something like that across, and then that's what the match was going to continue. And then that's when Vince said, "Ring the damn bell." Maybe it was supposed to continue the match.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but the thing is that, if you see how fast Brett tried to reverse it, it looked like he was trying to get out of it, because he looked like he may have figured out
Something.
last second, like, that, oh, this is it. Like, he tried to get out of it within seconds, and that's another thing that, if you look into that. But even with all that, it's just mind-boggling that, there's people that also say that this whole thing is a work. Like, it's the greatest work that ever happened in all of wrestling.
and
And
and then Vince is gonna have it in his grave. Sean's gonna have it in his grave. So is Earl Hebner, and so is whoever was involved in it. Think about something you're not talking about here. You don't talk about something in particular. Wrestling with shadows.
oh yes, that's another thing.
What happened? They had cameras backstage.
Yeah,
Why would Brett allow cameras to be backstage? Maybe he was documenting his last days in WWF and that's what he wanted to do, but he didn't expect them to do that to him. But then you see when they were in Vince's office and stuff like that, how everything was positioned. There's a lot of controversy that people always talk about, but even those people who are camera guys for Wrestling with Shadows had to have known something.
it was. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they. That's what really makes people think that it was a work. That they say they like to bring up the camera crew and Wrestling with Shadows, and to create this documentary. But yeah, that's another thing. I mean, what and they were in the right position too when it happened. Like, they were in the really good position when everything went down, and
What
Vince
if Taker
allowed them.
knows something about it? They said that Taker was somewhere backstage, remember?
Taker.
Yeah, that he was actually backstage waiting for Vince or in somewhere near the locker room where Vince was or something like that when that happened.
Yeah.
So
Was Taker there as backup or something, or?
no, I don't remember. I just heard something about Taker that he was backstage something and something would happen in the commotion and stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Taker. I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, who knows? I mean, what kind of measures these guys went to uh, to get this done. I mean, but hey, they did it. They screwed Brett. I
They
mean,
created a buzz for the industry, something we will keep in our graves forever. We will be like, "Ooh, this is incredible."
yeah. Well, I was thinking that if one day I do meet Brett, whatever, like, if I meet him at an autograph signing or anything, in the future, I would tell him, look, I'm I know somebody who's friends with Vince, and he already told me it, everything, that it's all a uh, a work.
And then he's
And,
gonna be like, "No, no way."
well, I don't know. Maybe that may throw him off guard, and say, I don't know.
Jeez,
Just
like
just 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 to trick him.
I remember meeting Brett, and he seemed like a swell guy, like the actual excellence of the execution character that he was. But I'm sure that the wrestling industry was made much better after the screw job because it created a lot of buzz for it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's just I don't know if they, and that's another thing. If it was a work, then they planned on all this controversy turning into dollars. Turning into
I'm
you
sure
know.
Vince thought about it. I'm sure Vince was like, "This has got to create some buzz, and people are going to talk about it forever."
But
I'm
but
sure
Vince
Vince thought of that.
but Vince he originally thought that by him going on television and saying his side of the story, that fans would sympathize with Vince and not Brett, right? So he thought that fans were going to take his side, and they didn't. They didn't take his side.
Well, they were in Canada the next night, like I said. Remember?
Oh yes, yes, I remember.
But think about another factor that you don't talk about. You watched Raw the next night, right?
Yeah.
Think one aspect that's magic of television. How does Vince? I don't remember exactly which eye it was,
Oh
but
yeah.
he got punched in one eye the following day at Raw.
Right.
His other eye was with the black, not the one he got hit on. Doesn't that tell you the magic of WWF, WWE?
Is that well? If that's the case, then
Look at that. Look at that. Look into that later, and you tell me about it.
I'm gonna look into that because if that is the case, that could really throw another wrench into this screw job. Because
Not many people talk about that factor either. Have you heard that theory before?
I know I've heard someone say that the black eye was makeup,
Wow.
but I don't know if that's true or not. But
Did Kristen make it for him?
Kristen, I don't. She wasn't working for the men, but
She was a little kid then, probably, right?
yeah, she was. She
She
was
was
a
like
kid
eight.
then. She was
She
a
might have
kid
been
then.
doing his makeup when she was a kid.
I mean, I don't know. She was probably doing her own makeup then. But she's done Vince's makeup since then. She's done Triple H's makeup, all
Peanuts
the big
makeup,
stars.
everybody.
Yeah, Ric Flair. I mean, yeah, she's up in there. Like she's really doing her thing. You
So
know,
tell me something special about this. What do you think about Earl's demeanor in the actual match? Do you feel
Er-
like he was actually in during the match? Do you feel like Earl was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna be fired," by looking at the match, or he was calling it down the line until everything happened afterwards? During the match, did you see anything out of the ordinary when you saw him, or you saw him like he was going down the middle with the match? You didn't see anything out of the blue?
Not that much, but I did notice that he was a little bit on edge. Like he was a little bit edgy. Uh, Not really as cool and collected as he normally was. So I feel like there was something there, but it was just the whole environment of the match. It was just an odd match. If you just watch it back, it's just so odd. Like you don't really see any matches like that where like the boss is like out there with all like backstage crew and everything, and it was just like they had it to me it looked like they had so many like plants in place to prevent Brett from leaving with that title, that it was just a lot. Like
They were trying to prevent something like the Medusa, Maselli, to leave with the belt and then throw it in the trash. In
yeah,
Mexico. They were trying to prevent that. That's probably why Vince actually told them we got to get the belt off him.
yeah, like they I think Vince, he took a card out of his father's playbook, and his father would say, "Get the match in the ring. Do whatever you can to get the match in the ring," and that's what he did. Right? He got the match in the ring, and it was up to them to finish it after that. So and and yeah, like they did what they had to do. He one way or another. I don't think they were going to let Brett leave with that title.
Do you like the fact that that actually created the actual Mr. McMahon character? That's the start of the Vince McMahon character.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But that's the thing. I don't think they were planning on that happening.
Oh, probably Vince needed something a little bit for his edge also, considering remember, he needed sympathizers or something after what happened with him with the steroid trial. That's how I look at it. I don't know if you see it that way as well. And that's why he probably did it as well. People might call me like, what the hell are you talking about? I
But
see it that way as well.
I mean, I could see that. But the steroid trial was like several
3 years.
years before, though.
Yeah, but you needed to do that evolutionize after that. And they needed to do something to drag it out a little bit and then to let that die down and then something builds up after that. Because it could have been like 3 years before, but I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it could have influenced it. I'm sure, but I don't think that they were planning on Vince becoming this ultimate heel after all this. But once they saw what they could achieve with it, I think they just ran with it. And but look, this is another good point Moxley brings up, that what about Bret Hart drawing the WCW letters? That's
And the
another good
camera
point.
was on cue right then and there.
Yeah, the camera was there. The cameras are there.
What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's another thing too. But was that air? That wasn't aired on pay per view.
I don't remember, honestly.
No, they cut the feed fast on pay per view.
But then how do we see that on the network or
That
Peacock?
that was
Bonus footage?
yeah, I think it was some sort of bonus footage or something. But I remember the pay per view.
They
It
cut the
was
feed right then when he threw the fit outside, right? When he threw the monitors, that's when
they
they cut it.
they cut the feed when Shawn Michaels was leaving the ring. That's when they cut it. They didn't show anything else. Like, it was very controversial. Like, they cut the feed.
They did it perfectly then. They cut the feed exactly when they needed to.
Yes, they didn't. You didn't see really Bret Hart spitting on Vince. They showed all that afterwards, and Bret signing WCW, Bret destroying the TV monitors and
But
stuff.
we saw it at Raw the following night.
Yes, yes, and but it was on the original pay per view. You didn't see any of that. Like, the original broadcast, they ended the pay per view like as soon as they got Shawn out of the ring. They ended it. Which they showed Shawn holding the title, and then they ended it. And
And now
yeah,
they're
they
waiting to make the money. They're like to create the heel heat for Shawn for the following night for Raw. That's why they did it. They cut it there. Because if they would have seen their hero carrying and throwing the temper tantrum that he did, I see. If you look at it like me, I don't know. You tell me if I'm right. I see. They show Sean on TV. He throws his. They show him with his belt. They cut it there. What do you immediately say? Oh, I'm going tomorrow to Raw to boo his ass.
Right. Right.
Then you see the other aspect, like you would see it probably. You see Brett throwing his temper tantrum, and then they're like, "Oh, Brett's gonna get away with everything, and he's going to WCW." And do you think that's the image Vince would want to see on TV? He left with his temper tantrum, and he got away with everything. That's not what I want for TV, is it?
No, no, I
I
don't
want
think
what
so.
I want. I'm the owner of the company. I want what I want. It's Sean, and I want him to get his ass booed tomorrow. But then you have actually Brett. Oh, I'm getting away with everything, and then even though I'm gonna be going to WCW and everybody's gonna cheer on me in WCW, which side do you prefer now?
It's a good question. I mean, it's just it could really go either way with that because I know Vince he wanted to get legitimate heat like on all centered on Brett, right? And have Brett take the whole fall, and but it didn't work that way because Vince he got the heat, but then Shawn Michaels eventually got the heat too, and it all backfired. And Shawn Michaels to this day, I mean, I'm sure he can't go to Montreal without getting, you know.
I just
Yeah.
say Sean will forever regret whatever he did as a part of that. He's going to take that to his grave, and then he probably looks at that match in particular as the black eye for him in wrestling because they're going to probably say, "Hey, Sean, you were a part of this. You shouldn't have done that." What
Right.
he would have told you in the past. What would he would have told you? Oh, I did it because I needed to be the actual guy who goes to be the showstopper, create the money. The
Yeah.
evolution in wrestling was because of that.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know if Sean. You think if Sean could go back in time, he would? I don't think he would change his mind. Honestly.
Absolutely not. Sean was Sean. Sean could get away with anything. He would do anything. Remember, Sean wasn't in his right frame of mind. That's how I look at it.
He wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was a completely different person from the Sean that returned in like 2004, I believe, right, or
Yep.
2001.
Especially with what happened. He got married. He has a kid now. He's religious, and obviously, people say, "Oh, we see a different type of Sean now." I don't
Yeah,
think we would have saw that Sean before at all. I'm
yeah,
sure if you could ask Sean, go back in time, and you know what he said? I would freaking do the same thing all night long.
he would. He would.
Any
He
day.
would. He would. And whatever it was about the money. It was about the
The fame,
when
the
the
girl, the
fame,
thugs.
the title. Yeah, I mean, it's just that was his deal. And you know what? The end of the day, yeah, I mean, it was Vince's company. He wanted to do what he wanted to do, and I guess there's a lot of people who support Vince's decision.
I
To do
do.
that.
I
You
do.
sup- you support Vince?
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, but why?
Why? Because,
Yeah,
like I said before, you need to create more heroes. You can't have the heroes forever, the same heroes. You got to evolutionize. You got to create characters for the future. You got to be up and coming. After Shawn Michaels, who did they have? I don't
They had,
remember. Triple H?
well, Triple H. No, he didn't get
No,
really.
it was Stone Cold, right?
Stone Cold was coming up. Yeah, he was coming up.
And then who was it after him?
After, well, the Rock. Yeah, the Rock was coming up, and who else was it?
Then Triple H?
Triple H. He was still like kind of mid card for
I
a
would say
while.
Triple H was like in 2003, 2004, right?
Yeah, Triple H was still up and coming, and it took Triple H a while for him to transition to the main event slot. You know,
Remember, we don't talk about one particular situation that hurt uh, Triple H was the click. And
the
so
click.
did, yeah, remember the click?
Oh, and also the Madison Square Garden incident.
Yeah, that's the click angle. The thing that happened, that's what started the click.
Yeah, yeah, that was is true. I mean,
But
and
what year was that? That was a year before the screw job. He got in trouble, but I don't know if he got more trouble than Sean himself in that. You see what
oh
I'm saying?
yeah,
The
yeah.
double standard.
Triple H got the whole blame for it pretty much. Like like Vince told him, you're gonna learn to eat shit and like it, and that's exactly what he did. With like Phineas Godwin and all that. Like that's
The hog
exactly
pen
what he
match.
did.
The hog pen match.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think it was real crap in those things. I think they did that on purpose.
But then
But
you probably see that Shawn Michaels was like, well, Trips actually did his time and did great with it.
but I don't know if you know about this part, but at WrestleMania 13, I know Shawn Michaels. He was like an announcer, like
Mhm.
he was like a commentator, a guest commentator at one point.
Yep.
And when he was coming out, did you know he threw the click sign when he was
No, I
coming
didn't
out?
see that. I didn't see
Ye-
that.
Yeah, it was a hidden sign to Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in WCW.
Wow.
And the next night on Nitro,
They did the same stuff.
Kevin Nash did it to the screen, and he said, "Right back at you, HBK."
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very subtle thing. Shawn Michaels did it for like a second when he was coming out with his entrance, and I'm surprised Shawn didn't get in trouble for that.
Like
And
we
he
talked about, he got away with anything and everything.
and he did that at WrestleMania 13.
See? He could get
Shawn
away with anything.
Shawn did that at WrestleMania, and yeah, and he got away with. I mean, can you believe like what would have happened if someone else did that? They would have been fired on the
Yeah,
spot.
they would have been like gone.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that apparent that he did it, but he did it for like a split second when he was coming out and he was dancing and stuff. And but when Kevin Nash did that on Nitro, I mean that solidified it.
Well,
That yeah, it was.
let me tell you one thing that you talked about that hand signal. That was probably the start of hand signals in wrestling because you didn't see the NWO doing for
Yeah,
life until
yeah.
later and the too
Oh,
sweet stuff.
oh, you're right. Too Sweet and
Everything.
NWO. Yeah, you
You
know
don't
what? You're
see
right
that.
about that.
You don't see that. You saw that after that.
You're right about that. Yeah, you're right about that. And it's just that.
You made the point yourself, so you gotta give props to yourself though, because you
Yeah,
brought it up.
yeah, but it's just that it's just so mind-boggling how much stuff Shawn Michaels got away with because you know uh, even Brett wouldn't have gotten away with half of the stuff Sean did. Even Brett, the big, the top guy at the time. He wouldn't have gotten away with half of that
Well,
stuff.
you said it yourself. We didn't see the WCW letters at all.
Right,
Until when? Until it was bonus footage. We
right.
didn't see it probably until when? DVDs. We didn't see it many years later. Or probably the network. There you go, Joe.
There you go. There you go, Joe. There you go, Joe.
Jeez. Now it's no good no more because he's doing it.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
cool people can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just really, but there's so much hidden things, that,
Hidden meaning in wrestling and a lot of stuff.
yeah, that a lot of people they don't, we may not see, we may not catch, and a lot of people, we could go back in time and watch things and analyze things, and yeah, we could catch little subtle things like that, and
See,
but
like today's episode was the screw job. Another perfect episode could be the Click, to talk about the Click, the start of WCW with the NWO, what evolutionized into that stuff. Different stuff that not many people talk about.
right, like the going into the Monday Night Wars, and yeah, it's just really wild. Like, but yeah, like you said, this really, I think, was the catalyst for all of this. Like the Montreal screw job, it really was a catalyst for moving into the new era, the Attitude Era, and branching out. WCW becoming a legitimate threat, and WWE trying to find a way to
Compete with them.
compete. Exactly, and they and one show, I forgot which show it was, they said that Vince was literally like a few weeks away from closing the doors at one point.
I think it was
It was
the
recently.
biographies.
Right.
Biographies that they said that.
Oh, the NWO show that was just recent, right?
He was about 2 weeks away from that. And then he's like, we got to do something. We got to panic.
From closing the doors, and isn't that crazy? Like that's really wild.
Think about we're talking about the screw job, but earlier in the 90s, we would see wrestling, but we would see a garbage guy.
Yeah.
We would see a hockey guy, a baseball guy, a basketball guy. We would see a trash guy. And I'm like, we would see a booger guy. Come on.
Yeah, Bastion
The
Booger.
Oh my gosh. Think about all this. Do you think if we would have seen that in this era, WWE had no competition, because WCW was not competition in the early 90s? If they would have done that NWO angle in the 1990, 1991, 92, stuff like that, they would have kicked them to the curve, and WWF would have been out of business by 1995, 1996.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't have had anything in place for that. I mean, nothing, because they were just so much into that, like that PG era type of
The little boy gimmick. Look,
yeah, cartoonish type of characters, and yeah, there was no, yeah,
the only main draw in my eyes, it was Brett in the 90s. It was
Mhm.
The Undertaker as the character that we would see him getting evolutionized, that everybody was intimidated by him. Those were
Yeah.
the only characters that we would really identify ourselves for watching WWF in that era.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Undertaker, and
Razor
yeah,
Ramon wasn't that big for me, even though he was
yeah.
a human character. Come on. Who else was big in the 1990s? Nobody.
Not really. Yeah, I mean they had even
Diesel,
they were trying to push Diesel. Yeah, I was just thinking about Diesel, but
Lex Luger.
Lex Luger. That's another guy that Vince was like so gung ho about. Like he was trying to push Lex Luger down everyone's throats, and
Nobody was excited with him. Remember, we saw that in biographies.
yeah, I know, but like he tried everything to get that guy over, Lex Luger,
He had no
and
charisma, though.
yeah, I know, but like it was like to me, Vince was trying to find anybody besides Brett to give it to Brett. Like he was trying to find someone else to get the world title besides Brett. Like I don't know why he was trying to look for an alternative when they had Brett. He had Brett right there, but
Brett was the guy. Brett
yeah,
was
but
the guy.
I
That
know
was
he was
it.
the guy. I know he was the guy, but why was Vince playing around with like Lex Luger? Like he was trying to get Luger over more than
The
Brett.
All American guy. Remember, that was the character, the All American guy. That's it.
Yeah, but like even then I feel like Vince he never wanted to have Brett be the guy. Like he was trying to always find someone else besides Brett. You know what I mean? Like, but he had to give it to Brett because there was no. I mean,
The
you
money
could,
draw. He was the money
yeah,
draw.
yeah. I mean, he had to do it. I feel like he had to do it because he was the draw. Like, but it was like he was trying to find someone else, another alternative. Like so. I don't know, like, but Vince, he was always a fan of like of the bodies of the big guys, the guys that look good, and the guys who
But who was there in the company? That was the big body guy or the big tall guy. Hardly anybody. Let me talk about this important factor. You see Brett, he was not American. You see Yokozuna, he was not American. You see Lex Luger, he was the all American character. We always see these characters that Vince wants to do USA versus the world. He wants to identify with his fan base, and much of his fan base was in the United States back in that era. And that's what brought him money. And then he was thinking, oh, Lex is going to bring me money, but it didn't do so.
yeah, yeah,
And they did
exactly.
that intrepid angle. Remember that? When he
Oh
body
yeah,
slammed Yoko, they
yeah,
thought that that was going to get him over so big. But then what happened? We saw that like as a flavor of a week type deal, like we talked about.
yeah. I mean, I remember that. I remember watching that live. I think on TV, and I was like, wow, this is insane. And yeah, like he was the next big star or something, Luger. And yeah, like I was trying to beg Poppy to go because they were having it in the city in Manhattan.
I heard
And
those were free tickets to go out to that, by the way.
yeah, yeah, I was begging him to go, but Poppy was saying, "Oh, it's too hot out. It's gonna be too hot out there." And he was right. It was like 100 degrees that day. It was very hot that day.
Come on, he should have had made your dreams come true as a kid.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't want he didn't want to go out in the hot weather like that.
Now you gotta definitely take him out somewhere and be like, "Hey, we're going to this place. And it's gonna be 98 degrees. You gotta stay here because you didn't take me to the Intrepid when I was a kid. Come
Yeah,
on, old man."
yeah. I mean, but yeah, I remember that. But it was. But I remember. I think we were watching it on TV. I think it was broadcast live too. So we were watching it, and it was really cool. I mean, uh, I was hoping Macho Man was gonna slam Yoko, but he didn't. He couldn't do it. But then Lex Luger, as soon as you saw Lex Luger, you kind of knew he was gonna do it.
Yeah.
Even though he looks so much smaller than Yokozuna.
But then you see Yoko is like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. So it was. it was really cool to see that, but again, it was just I feel like it was a tactic by Vince to try to find it another alternative. Like he didn't like it's like he didn't want to go with Brett, like he just wanted to find someone else. You know what I mean? Like I just think he went with Brett because he really had to because
Because they drew the money. They drew the money.
yeah, like he had to do it because yeah, like
Not
you
even
said.
Shawn Michaels in the '90s was a big thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was Vince's, like Vince loved him. That's why he got the opportunities. But even though he was an amazing athlete, he was incredible. Like, he was very charismatic and everything. And
He
yes,
was he was the showstopper.
oh yeah, he was a showstopper, but and possibly sure he deserved to be world champion, absolutely, but I don't know if was he was the guy material, like the face of the company material, you know. But Vince made him that guy. I mean, his character is based off of a male stripper. You know what I
Shawn
mean?
Michaels,
Yeah,
yeah,
the Shawn Michaels character is based off of
the
a
boy
male
toy.
stripper. Yeah, like it wasn't. I don't think it's supposed. It was a character that should have been like the face of the company.
They put him in Playgirl. Come on now, that's why.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was on. I mean, it's just really wild, like how. But Vince. That's the thing. Vince, he had a liking for Sean, so that's what happened. And now we're seeing the same thing with Austin Theory
Like
and
like Cena too, like that.
Cena. But Cena, he
He has the look.
developed.
He has the look.
Yeah, that's the thing. He had look. He wasn't that great of a wrestler coming up, but he had the look, and that's the thing. When you got
And
the
the mic
look,
skills.
yeah, the mic skills, yeah. So if Vince sees that you have the look and you could talk, you got charisma, he doesn't care about how you could perform in the ring. He could care less because we've seen talent that could really perform in the ring, but they're lacking charisma and they just don't get very far, like Shelton Benjamin, for instance. I mean, an amazing talent in the ring, but he lacked a little charisma, so he never really went that far with Shelton. Or even like remember Steve Blackman.
Yep. The
Steve
lethal
Blackman,
weapon.
the Lethal Weapon, right? Yeah, I mean, I thought he was an incredible athlete and he had great matches, but he lacked charisma, and he just didn't go far with him. Many characters they do that with. So
Vince doesn't know sometimes. Like some wrestlers have said this. Even Cody said this in the past. I had to go from WWE to evolutionize my career because Vince didn't know how to build my character into something that I could give my best potential. That's what he said one day.
right, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I
But do
mean,
you see now? Do you see Cody as the face of the company
well, that's it.
now,
Yeah, now I think Cody legitimately could be the face of the company.
or do you feel it's Sammy?
Sammy, that's another thing too. So, Sammy, I think that they're trying to. They don't. I don't think they see Sammy as like a face of the company.
You
They
don't
see
see
him.
like the type of thing like Daniel Bryan thing, like that.
Oh, oh yeah, I could see him as Daniel Bryan, like the underdog, but when they have Cody Rhodes, like Cody, he has the look, a little bit more than Sammy. I must admit, and he's just. I think he's their pick to run the company. To run with it and be the face of the company. Cody, uh, Sammy. he has potential to be a champion, sure, but I don't see him being the face of the company.
I don't think so either, but they try and do this to feel it out, and I see that they try to do that to generate the money because it was coming with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. That's why they did that.
Oh yeah, these guys rather have Sammy than Cody, Elvis and Garrett. Yeah, I mean,
They're just doing the Cody thing just because as a saying a thank you, even though Cody's dad is dead, it's like a
yeah.
saying a thank you to him for everything he did for the company. That's how I look at it.
Oh,
That's
definitely
how
a tribute. Yeah,
I
definitely a
tribute
tribute.
to Justy.
Definitely a tribute. Yeah, it's definitely going to be monumental, I'm sure, and I'm pretty confident Cody's going to win. And hey, if he wins, hopefully he brings back the Winged Eagle title, like he
Yep.
said. That would be great.
Like you stole Bret Hart's belt. You see that?
Yeah,
Is Bret seeing this? Yeah, Bret. He stole your belt. He
yeah.
actually was the one who screwed you, not Sean. Look, he's laughing about it. It's true.
Yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah,
shook your hand when he saw you in New York. So don't trust him.
yeah, yeah,
Next time
Brett.
he's gonna
Yeah.
bring a Sharpie so he can have a picture signed by you.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah, that would be so cool.
So yeah,
But
I definitely, like you said, definitely it would be incredible if Sammy could do it, but they're gonna give it to Cody just as a tribute.
yeah, but and Cody's got a lot going into this. This WrestleMania. I mean, the fans are behind him. The fans, I think they legitimately think he deserves it, and yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, but there's still people that say that Roman's gonna retain. So I don't know. Could go either way.
I definitely think that Roman was they created the character for Roman to actually get the belt. Remember, everybody wanted Roman to be the face of the company, face of the company. Vince wanted to jam him down our throats for such a long time. Remember that? And then he fought Braun Strowman how many times? And then he's
Uh,
like jamming it down our throats. We didn't like that. Then he got his cancer
yeah.
thing situation, and then people started getting him to actually like him, and then he gets the belt, and then nobody likes him now as the tribal chief. They did that strategically. He loses the belt. I think he leaves the company for a few months, a month or 2 months, to take a break, and then goes probably to film a movie or something, whatever, take a break, and then comes back as a face, and everybody's gonna forget about his character, the Roman Reigns tribal chief, and then people are gonna cheer him again.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, that's how I look at it. That's exactly what Vince would do, and it's not Triple H going to do that. Even though people think it's actually Triple H running the show, I think Vince is still doing a lot of the booking.
Well, I think Triple H was doing a lot of the booking for the last few months though,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
but you could see Vince is coming back a little bit.
The
Like
fingerprints are on it somehow.
yeah, like you could see little subtle things like who would think of Brock versus Omos at WrestleMania? Omos.
I
I mean
told
that
you about that program. Remember that picture? Also for the WrestleMania, something that they did at Raw that it was in
yeah.
the preview. I told you it said produced by Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I looked at that. I put it in TiVo or something, whatever it was, in Direct TV, and I looked at it, and it said produced by Vince McMahon. I'm not joking you.
Oh shoot! So he's back. He's back then. I mean,
Yeah, Vince loves big guys. And then I'm going to tell you something. This is not a prediction. This is a spoiler.
What's that?
Brock is going to leave WWE after WrestleMania.
Brock is leaving.
Yes.
You
He
mean
does
he's
not like where his character is going or anything like that because he doesn't seem like to be a Triple H guy. He's never been.
a Triple H guy?
He's always
But
been a Vince guy.
but Vince is back though.
But he wants better character than what he's doing. I don't see him as the beast. When you put Brock Lesnar eventually into the Hall of Fame, you think of the Brock Beast character or this joking character that you see nowadays?
Yeah, he's not as legitimate as he was.
What did
Yeah.
Elvis say?
He said Brock should go to AEW.
And then he could teach his illegitimate son, what's his name, Parker Bordeaux, how to be the next Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Elvis says he's going nowhere in WWE. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. So after Omos, he's done?
That's what I say.
Wow. I mean, so is he going to lose to Omos?
No, you would book him to actually win. That way he doesn't feel slighted. But knowing how WWE is, almost is the next big thing since he's big and tall and ugly.
I mean, if they had Omos beat Brock, that would make Omos a big star.
Yep.
If they did that, I mean, that would be
They needed to
smart.
do that. Remember that they needed another big guy in the company. I told you eventually that they wanted Omos to be the next Andre, but come on. No,
Yeah.
I don't think he's got that charisma either.
Mm-mm. I don't think so either. But honestly, it's just really. I guess they're gonna do. You know, they're gonna do what they want to do. You know, Vince is gonna do what he wants to do, push the guys he wants to push, and yeah, I mean, hopefully we get a good show for WrestleMania. I mean, I think we will, but again, it's gonna be a lot. Like, it's gonna be a lot of matches.
And then we have WrestleMania Backlash after that.
On a pay-per-view.
Yep. And
Yeah.
remember what I said 3 months pay per view, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, WrestleMania Backlash, and the sale of WWE comes.
Really?
That's how I look at it.
Does
Remember,
say,
remember. You do WrestleMania right now. That's going to create a lot of buzz and a lot of money for the company. WrestleMania Backlash, they might do it in Saudi. Imagine that if they do it in Saudi.
forget it.
They can create all the money in the world with that. And then you're like, sell, sell, sell. That's how Vince would look at it. I would create all the money in the world after that. When would you actually sell it? After SummerSlam? No, do it after these 3 months because these are going to be the 3 hottest months. If they do that WrestleMania Backlash at Saudi, like I'm saying that I'm thinking that it's going to be,
Yeah.
that would create a lot of money. You're not going to wait 6 months because I don't see anything happen after that, even though, like I said in the past, Money in the Bank. Where is it? In London. That could create money too.
Oh, that's gonna be huge in London.
Yep.
That's gonna be big in London.
So whoever gets the company needs to analyze when they buy the company because they gotta make the numbers work. If they want to buy it, they should buy it prior to a big pay-per-view, not a little pay-per-view like a Backlash or anything like that. You would do it
Yeah.
when you have a big pay-per-view coming out.
Oh yeah. You get a lot of revenue with that. I mean, who knows how much they're gonna generate from WrestleMania weekend? I mean,
Totally. That's why they do it 2 days now, not
they
one day.
they I mean they could literally generate millions and millions of dollars that whole weekend. I don't know. I don't even know how much they're gonna. I mean, to ballpark that, I don't know. It's got to be. I'd say $100 million if I have to ballpark it. With if you're talking about the merchandise, you're talking about
Hotels,
ticket
tickets,
ticket sales.
everything. They get a portion of like they're doing now. Think about what WWE is doing nowadays. They didn't used to do this before, but they're asking people, not people, obviously cities, to actually make the bids to actually for the pay-per-views, but
Yeah,
you pay them money to actually buy the seed of the pay-per-view.
really?
Yeah, that's with the major pay-per-views. That's what they
Wow.
wanted to do originally. They wanted to do SummerSlam originally back in Nashville. Remember that they had one in Nashville this past year, but then
Yeah.
they didn't do it in Nashville. It's because Detroit told them, "I'm going to give you so much money for the seed, so you can give it to me because it's going to create a lot of buzz for that area."
Oh.
And that's why they did Clash at the Castle. That's why they're doing the Money in the Bank, everything like that.
Oh wow. Wow. I didn't think of that.
And then if WWE gets sold, I'm going to tell you this record number. Vince is going to get $860 million from the sale for himself.
Just
For
just for himself.
himself. Yep.
But
And
but
then,
I thought he was trying to sell it for 9 billion though.
no, listen. That's only for himself. You got to then divide it with that Nick Khan guy. You got to divide it with Triple H. You got to divide it with all the people who are involved in the company. So all the
Oh,
other money goes to all those other people. Triple H, Stephanie, Nick Khan, whoever's involved in the board of directors.
wow.
So out of nine something, whatever he wants to sell it, they all got to divide the money. But Vince is going to be the one who gets the most money out of it. People are saying he was retired. He wasn't retired. He was probably in Saudi talking to the prince.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that. Think about that. Remember, they
What
have a good relationship.
why why does he want to sell it though? Why doesn't he just want to give it, pass it down, to
Because
his family?
I don't think he sees Triple H as the guy. And then considering I think that's what happened, his relationship with Steph has gone down somehow.
Yeah.
I don't see them having that desire to be with the company. Remember, it takes a lot of toll on them.
To do this business, right?
Yeah, remember, you got to be out in the road how many times a year? How many days in a year? And you got to
Oh,
be in
forget it. Yeah.
the
Uh,
office and everything.
but the thing is that like even if they sell it, aren't they still going to be working for the company? I mean,
I don't think so. Would you want to still work for a company if you would get 300 million?
you wouldn't have to work anymore.
See, you told me your answer.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to. But I don't think these guys are particularly doing it just for the money though, right? But I don't know. It looks like they Vince is only concerned about the money.
That's how we look at it now because WWE has sucked lately since the PG era.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. But it's just that you know, at this point, WWE, like there's people that are talking about wrestling now that haven't talked about wrestling in a long time. I feel like wrestling was on the verge of making a comeback. If they sell the company now, who knows what's going to happen? It may really be detrimental for the company. I
Think
mean,
about it. I think that they have other ventures besides WWE. Everybody only talks about WWE with the McMahon name. Think about it. What's his name? Shane
yeah.
has a cannabis company.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So think about it. He doesn't need to be involved in WWE. He's gonna get money somehow. He- Even if they sell the company, they're gonna make millions and millions with whatever they do. He might even have other companies. Vince might even be having, like, let's say, let me give a hypothetical, even though that's not true. What if Vince has stocks with Gatorade or whatever
Oh,
and stuff like that? Honestly,
yeah.
he could make money that way. He doesn't need money any other way. He could have businesses. Let's say he's got a 7-Eleven company or something like that. Anything, really. He could create
Yeah.
money either way. With whatever Vince touches, creates gold in his mind.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that, actually. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's just really, uh, in my opinion, I just feel like it's just all about the money, though. Like, they just want to make the money, and that's it. Like, they don't care what's going to happen afterwards. I mean, and yeah, who knows what the wrestling business is going to be like after a sale like that, you know? You think they'll be able to run a company like WWE? I mean,
Imagine if UFC buys WWE or Saudi, like I said. Why would Disney buy WWE? So they can make Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck champion and be like, oh, where are you going to go? Disney World for win my championship.
it'll be very PG then. You think it's PG now? Forget it. Well, it'll be a big hit with the kids, I'll tell you that. Kids will like it. Well,
Yeah. I think it's going to be when you have a kid by 2040 or 2050, it's going to be a big hit. And then you're going to be like, oh, I'm like 60 something or 50 something. And you're going to be like, this is what we're looking at nowadays, kids.
yeah, yeah. That's
Nah, man. I don't see it. I don't see it. But like I said, if Saudi buys it, it's going to be something wild. He's capable of doing so.
I'm sure he is, but it's I don't know if that's such a good decision. For I mean, for them it is
For
because
them,
they're
it
gonna.
is because it's money
Yeah,
for them. But
yeah,
it's
I
not
know.
good for us as fans. He doesn't
Yeah,
care about us fans now. Why would he? He already used us for how many years? You've been a fan 37 years. I've been a
yeah,
fan 39 years. How much has Danny been a fan? How much has Elvis been a fan? All of us, we've been
yeah,
fans for so long now. He's like,
yeah,
okay, I don't care about making anymore. You
yeah,
could, but oh well.
yeah. This gonna, it's all about the money. They're gonna make this huge sale, and I mean, and they're just gonna sell it to the highest bidder. They're not gonna sell it to somebody who would actually be able to run the business. Like, if they sold it to UFC, I think Dana White would actually do good for the company because he knows how to run. He knows how to make big fights and stuff. And in UFC, I mean, I think it'd be somewhat similar, like a transition for him. But for them to just sell to Saudi Arabia, I mean, do they know what to do? Like how to run a wrestling company? I mean,
Yeah, they can do.
I mean, that's the question. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
it's,
his main
it's wild.
attraction would be in every show he would bring the Undertaker. I'm gonna pay you $3 million every day. Come on, Cookie. Just to
Oh,
talk, and that's it.
Undertaker, forget it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
his best friend. Remember?
oh yeah, they
They have a good
forget it.
connection.
You know what? That's probably one of the main reasons for the sale. I'm sure they love the Undertaker. they'll own the Undertaker. They will that character. They will own that character, and
And
who
then he
knows?
would make them rest in peace.
Yeah, they may pay him so much money he'll come back to wrestling. If that were the case, I don't know. I think people would be interested, even though Taker could hardly move. But but
Imagine a weekly Raw. He comes to Raw on a Monday, and then he goes out to Texas, and then comes back Sunday. Then he goes back to Raw, and then he goes back to Texas, then comes back. Yeah, rest in peace. Then you get the Asylum, and you come with Ric Flair, and he comes out. He's gonna bring all these all-time wrestlers, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, great!"
oh jeez, yeah. I mean, it'll get sort of stale after a while. I'm sure. Like it may turn into like another WCW eventually, and yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows? But hey, hopefully,
Or like the
things.
main event Mafia that was in TNA. Remember that? All the
Oh
old
yeah,
guys.
yeah, main event mafia. I remember that. I was like, what is this? It's like,
Old people. Yeah, you could see like the roster with those old people. You're like, okay, there's 5 million, there's 6 million, and then that's why you almost saw TNA going bankrupt because of all those contracts. I heard this from a wrestler named Homicide. He was in LAX. I don't know if you
homicide. Yeah,
remember. He's Puerto Rican, part Puerto Rican because he's New Rican, and he told me, "How can you have 3 shows of Impact Wrestling being taped, and in all 3 shows, you gotta pay Sting, Hogan, Kurt Angle, you gotta pay Scott Steiner, all those 3 guys for that show. Listen to this, for that show, but it's 3 shows taped in one day. And when they play it on TV,
yeah.
let's say you tape it today, but the show's on Thursday, tomorrow, and then the next shows are taped today also, the other 2. What happens? The other 2 shows are next week and the following week. You gotta pay them when they're on TV as well. Even
Wow.
though, and then I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, so overall, I'm telling you, they're getting paid because they're taping the show for 3 dates. And when they're actually putting it on TV, they also get paid for that day as well. I'm like, wow.
Wow. Wow. I can imagine
That's
what they
why
were
they
paying
cut
them.
Don out of exactly. That's what I'm saying to you. How many of those main event mafia guys were all big stars, big names. That's why TNA always almost went to bankrupt. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Dixie Carter didn't know what she was doing.
She thought she got the stroke. I mean, I was trying to be funny with the stroke with the thing with Jeff Jarrett, but no.
No, but yeah, it's just yeah, I don't even know how TNA was able to afford all that talent. I mean, I was under the impression they were giving them stock in the company.
I don't even know.
Like, cause I don't know how else they were paying these guys. Cause cause
Gigolo dances?
yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I will say this though, when I went to TNA, they wrestled on a baseball field, and they always had
Base
like,
brawl?
huh?
Base brawl?
Oh,
That type
baseball.
of deal?
Yeah, it was like yeah, baseball field. Yeah, they had the ring on the baseball field, and they were very smart with the merchandise. Like they had $15 deals and stuff,
They
and
had I remember that. They had a marketing deal that they had. You go after the thing is over, the actual event is over, you pay $25. You would get in the ring with the champion and take a picture of him.
oh, you've heard of that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's what they would do. Yeah, and you had to see the line up for
Yeah, absolutely. And then the wrestler would stay there. But I would enjoy particularly the brown bag deal of Don West. Rest in
yeah,
peace.
Yeah, the brown bag deal. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, $15, and you would get a T-shirt, an autograph, and something else. Remember
Yeah,
that?
they had DVDs. They
Yeah,
had
food.
yeah, I remember that. But it was cool. They were cool. They were very smart with their merchandise and everything. I
It
mean,
was Don West's idea, though. You realize that, right?
oh, it was.
Yeah, that's why he did it. Because remember, he was in HSN or QVC or what he was doing. What did he say?
Oh, money is the root of all evil. Yeah, you're right, Elvis. Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is, exactly, the brown bag deal was amazing in itself. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember one of my brown bag deals. I got a Sting figure autographed. Uh,
Wow.
it was like worth 40 something dollars, but it was autographed. I got a Kurt Angle 8x10 and a T-shirt of the Motor City Machine Guns.
Wow, that's an awesome deal, man. For
Yeah,
$15.
yep,
Damn, that's a great deal, man.
yeah. I was like, wow. And then I remember when I met Kurt Angle at Lockdown 2007 or 2009 in Missouri in St. Louis. I went down there. I paid $40 or $30 for the Lockdown Fan Fest, and I would get access to get in there. And then you would get in a line, and you would have to only pay $5 for the 8x10s, but you would have
Wow.
to go individually to the wrestlers you want, but you would have to pay $5. So I got Sting $5 for the actual 8x10, and I took a picture with him without makeup. I had Billy Gunn and Road Dog when they were
Okay.
VKM, uh, LAX. I had Gail Kim, AJ Styles, James Storm, Abyss. Imagine that, $5 each photo.
Oh, that's a
Lance
killer
Hoyt,
deal.
that's what's his name? The Murder Hawk monster. What's his name in AEW?
Oh,
Lance. Oh, Archer. Archer.
oh, Lance Archer. Oh,
He
okay.
was Lance Hoyt in Impact. So
Oh, okay.
in that day, I got like 15 autographs. So I paid $40 to get in, but $5 per picture, $15.
Hey, that's really cool, man. Wow. Hey, Elvis. Wow. Happy birthday to your daughter, man. Yeah, happy birthday. Oh, wow. That's so cool, man. That's
16.
awesome.
Wow, that's a good age.
16. Wow, that's great, man.
So what I'm telling you is WWE should have done that as well. The brown bag deal.
Yeah, instead they always they try to upsell you with the shirts. The shirts are like $35 each now at the events. They don't give you any deals really. They just they got it there. Their rationale is people are gonna pay it no matter what, and they're kind of right, right? Like, what's to stop them from charging $40 for a shirt? Or and I think it was like $40 at Raw 30
Hmm.
actually.
I remember Bad Blood when I went to that I told you about that earlier. It was the Shawn Michaels match against Taker. You know what how clever they would actually get the people who sell you the merchandise, not the merchandise, the food. The guy who would bring you the Coke or the hot dogs around the area, around the ring and stuff like that. He would like be like Undertaker hot dog.
Really?
Yeah, he would be like, then they would say HBK sexy boy Coca Cola for $6.
What?
That's incredible marketing, man.
And was it a cup of
No,
Shawn Michaels?
they would give you a cup of the wrestler itself, and then he would show it to you, and we're like, wow, HBK Coca Cola, because you would see the actual cup itself, and it would be the HBK cup,
Yeah.
and they would sell it to you like that. That's incredible. I remember this. This is how I have a bobblehead of John Cena From what he say?
Oh, he said, Jacob better bring 5 grand to WrestleMania for shirts if it's in Hollywood. How expensive it's gonna be.
Yeah, I think so. Like I told you, that thing about what was I saying? I forgot.
Oh, about the some shirt or some merchandise.
I was talking about some shirt. I don't
Yeah, yeah, some shirt in St. Louis or something. Or
like the shirts. They would sell it and everything like that, but then they would come out and then sometimes say to the people, "Hey, this is gonna be only special." No, not a shirt. Sorry. I lost my train of thought. I went to a house show. This
Mhm.
was like before John Cena first came out to TV. I think he was doing house shows. I bought myself a John Cena bobblehead, and it was
Ooh,
way before he actually became a TV star. Imagine that. And they were doing
wow.
it at a house show. So that's how Vince has his vision on wrestlers before they become something big. So he was marketing already John Cena before he was actually on TV. He knew that was his next guy.
He just knew it,
Yep.
or he was gonna push him no matter what. I guess.
Yep. Think about it. I bought two of those bobbleheads. How much do you think those bobbleheads are nowadays?
Oh, forget it, man. I never even seen one of those.
Yep. I have to show you that sometime. I gotta find it.
Yeah, I mean, if you still got it in the packaging, I could only imagine how much it's worth. I don't know
I
how much.
think it's in my dad's house or my sister's house.
I mean,
Somewhere there.
I can only imagine what it's worth. I mean, forget it. I never even
So
knew
Vince
that
knows how to
existed.
market the people. That's what I'm saying to you.
Oh, they know how. Yeah, they know how to market. Yeah, and they're smart with the merchandise too. Like they know that the replica belt industry is very prosperous. Almost every big event they have special edition mini belts and stuff,
Yep.
and some full size belts too. Like they know those are very popular. Like hey, if Jacob goes to WrestleMania, I mean he yeah, he can make
It's
some
gonna be
money.
5,000 for one. He could sell it
Yeah,
to somebody. He could sell the spinner belt since Austin Theory's gonna fight Cena. You could
yeah.
definitely sell that for a lot of money out there.
Oh, I'm sure of that, man. Like, yeah, but he's got to get to the superstore like the day of it opens. So,
I'm sure some people are gonna be already camping out like 3 days before it opens.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I know if you get there like the day of, like within an hour or 2 hours, I think you'll be good. Like trying to find the most exclusive stuff. But yeah, if he gets there the next day, they sell out of the most exclusive stuff the first day. They
Okay, think
do.
about what I'm gonna tell you. Like there would be Raw in St. Louis. The show's at 8 o'clock. On TV, we sometimes see it at 7 o'clock. But sometimes there's dark matches and tapings of other shows 1 hour before and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would be at Raw in St. Louis at 9 in the morning.
9?
9 in the morning, and there would be like 10 people already in line.
Wow.
And I'm like, why is that? Because the people are like, this is where the wrestlers are coming in this area. And I'm like, what? There's nothing open in the lobby or anything. We're here and we're going to leave our stuff here and we're going to the parking lot. The wrestlers would start arriving at 10:30 in the morning so they could start setting up stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
10:30?
10:30 some of them.
Damn, you could get autographs and stuff?
Yeah, they would be like in their rentals and stuff like that. They would
Oh,
come in and
shit.
everything in their rentals. And then when you see that the shows are over and everything, all the wrestlers are mostly gone because they're already gone. Like most of the stars, it's a 3 hour show. Throughout the show, if they don't have any use for them, they already go. They leave.
Oh, they just leave. They don't stay the whole show.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean,
I remember meeting Miz when he was one of his first. That's why I like his theme. I got to meet him when he was his obnoxious character. Starting out, he was out in a street. I was ringside, and then I went outside because I had to take a call. And then in one of the segments, I saw him outside, and he was right there when I was outside. I was like, "What the hell?" And then they wouldn't let you touch the guy. They He could be out there, and he was waiting for his cue for the
oh,
thing to start and everything. They wouldn't even like when you're ringside. You can't even pat the wrestler because they have somebody watching you.
you
They
can't
don't let
pat the
you.
wrestlers?
No, no. They are actually there's a person ringside that they have for security, and they're watching you because
But
some wrestlers get really pissed off. But sometimes you see them that they do pat them in the back, but they're probably plants that they put them in there.
but but I see people on the show like almost every week, like the clapping hands and stuff, and
No, no, but I mean like when he's like, let's say Randy's down and out, like
yeah,
when he gets thrown out and he's waiting for his cue to go back into his to the ring again.
yeah.
Like when it's a tag match, you can't touch him because there's somebody watching you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I was like, I remember talking to Randy here in Puerto Rico because he came out here for a house show. I'm like, hey man, I'm Rory from Baldwin in in St. Louis that I met you in this. He's like, hey man, I'm trying to lay back. Let me relax. Let me relax. So I was like, wow.
All
I
right,
have to wait my cue. I have to wait my cue.
all right.
Oh well.
I mean, if at least I don't know if he wasn't like disrespectful to you. I don't know.
No, he's a nice guy. He's a nice
Okay,
guy. He's a nice guy.
Elvis
I
said
met him.
like at a like at a strip club you can't touch.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sure Miss taps Maurice a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he said, Maurice he got what he wanted in life, and that was Maurice.
Yeah, yeah, I think he's in love with her. I don't know if she's in love with him, but
Yeah,
I think
she's in love with him with the money.
yeah, yeah. He's got a lot of money and she's in love. Yeah. Yeah. But all right, Rory. Well, hey man, this has been great, man.
I
Definitely
hope
gonna
we can
do.
do again next week. We can talk
Yeah.
about anything and everything, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And let's say that I hope that everybody enjoyed it definitely. And by the way, Harper's team's gonna go down next pay per view. They're going nowhere. I feel
Yeah.
sorry for all those guys who think that are gonna take down Moxley. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you never know what's gonna happen.
Hey, anything can happen, but
Yeah.
not on Moxley's watch. I don't think so.
Yeah, Moxley's doing his thing. I mean, he's definitely doing his thing in trivia.
And definitely, I'm glad that we had you all listening to this unusual podcast, learning about new things. We're gonna definitely be talking about controversial things and probably talk about the click. We talked about the screw job today, but
Yeah.
we could talk more in detail into some other things that most channels don't talk about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna deep dive into a lot of things. Absolutely.
Well, take care, be safe, and have a good one. I may not be in on Friday, but definitely I'll be on Monday.
Oh, okay. All right, bro. All right.
Okay, take care, be
All
safe.
right. All right. Roy. Be safe. Be well. All right. And everybody, have a good night. Elvis, happy birthday to your daughter again. And be safe, be well. Everybody, have a great night. Garrett Light, Moxley, everybody. Good night, everybody. Matt Troy signing out. And this was Against the Grain podcast. Good night, everybody.